A very good evening and welcome to the evening news. I am Mazal Ansari. First, let's take a look at tonight's headlines. His Highness the Emir receives the Speaker of Mongolia's Great Khural or Parliament and his accompanying delegation. Indirect talks begin in Cairo between Israel and the Palestinians as a ceasefire enters a second day. Fighting erupts in the Lebanese border town of Arsal after a negotiated truce collapses overnight. And the UN warns that civilians in eastern Ukraine face increasing danger as the conflict with Russia persists. Beginning with local news, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at his residence in Mongolia the Speaker of Mongolia's Great Khural or Parliament, Mr. Zandakho Khobold, and his accompanying delegation. The meeting was attended by the Deputy Chief of the National Guard, Sheikh Mish'al Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, and Kuwait's Ambassador to Mongolia, Khalid Al-Fadli. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Bolivia, Juan Evo Morales Ema, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a similar cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Bolivia, Juan Evo Morales Ema, on the occasion of his country's National Day. And His Highness Sheikh Jaber Mbarak Al-Hamid Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a cable of congratulations. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the Governor General of Jamaica, Patrick Linton Allen, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a similar cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the Governor General of Jamaica, Patrick Linton Allen, on the occasion of his country's National Day. And His Highness Sheikh Jaber Mbarak Al-Hamid Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, sent a similar cable of congratulations. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received this morning at his Chief Palace Diwan the Acting Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received the Deputy Premier, Minister of Interior, and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defense, Sheikh Khalid Al-Jarrah Al-Sabah. The Acting Premier and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, received today a copy of the credentials of the new Spanish ambassador to Kuwait, Carlos de Tejeda. Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid also received a copy of the credentials of the new Belgian ambassador to Kuwait, Andy de Taille. The credential presentation ceremony was attended by the Acting Foreign Undersecretary, Ambassador Mohammed Al-Rumi, the Director of the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister's Office, Ambassador Saleh Al-Lughani, the Acting Director of the Protocol Department, Advisor Nasser Al-Anteri, and the Acting Director of the Europe Department, Advisor Dr. Rashid Al-Adwani. The acting premier and foreign minister then received the Slovakian ambassador to Kuwait, Evan Lancharish, on the end of his tenure. The meeting was attended by the director of the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister's Office and acting director of the Europe Department. The Deputy Premier Minister of Interior and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, affirmed the necessity of coordination between the ministry and the governorate's authorities for serving the higher national interests and the homeland's security and stability. This came during a meeting between Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid and the governor of the capital, retired General Thabit Al-Mhanna, as well as the governor of Hawali, retired First Lieutenant General Sheikh Ahmed Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah. Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid said the governorate's authorities play a major role in implementing the state's general policy and following up on its ventures within its jurisdictions in order to best achieve the public interests. Moreover, the Interior Minister reiterated that the country's ministers and officials bear a precious trust of administering the country in shadow of the wise leadership of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince, Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, and His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamid Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister. He also expressed deep appreciation for the governor's efforts in realizing the aspired national objectives while ensuring certain guidelines to speed up the development plans in the governorates. International Middle East envoy Tony Blair was in Cairo today, where he met with Egypt's foreign minister and Arab League officials for discussions on the Gaza conflict. Israel and Hamas began indirect talks on a new border deal for the blockaded Gaza Strip as a ceasefire ending their month-long war entered its second day. Our correspondent in Gaza, Majd Al-Wahdi, has the following story.
In Gaza, the war of aggression seems to be over, but the diplomatic war has just intensified. Israeli and Palestinian delegations prepared for crunch talks in Egypt to try to extend the three-day ceasefire. But even with the first hopeful signs of a longer ceasefire, a long-term truce is by no means guaranteed. Both sides have their demands, and mediators suggest it is a challenge to find any common ground.
When we look at the conditions of both parties, the Palestinians and the Israelis, definitely there is a big gap between what the Palestinians want, which is lifting the Israeli siege and blockade and facilitating the movement to the Palestinians. And in the meantime, Israel is asking to disarm the Palestinian resistance groups and the Gaza Strip. This is almost impossible to happen.
For normal people here, their only dream is to return to their homes with a sense of safety. These people have been displaced and rendered homeless in different shelters across the Strip, which are in a poor condition.
I live near Nahal Oz border. My house is burned and destroyed. Each year there is a war, but this war is the worst. I hope leaders will find a solution. We just want to rest in our homes again and have a normal life like any human being in this world.
During the month-long offensive, the Israeli aggression caused severe damage to Gaza's infrastructure. Over 10,000 houses, government buildings, universities, mosques, and schools were damaged. The Ministry of Economy says the war has caused total damage of up to $6 billion. With the ongoing ceasefire talks, people here have high hopes that these talks will help cease not only fire, but also their suffering. Many believe that in the midst of chaos, there is still an opportunity to get back the right of freedom and dignity. Majd Al-Wahdi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
That was Majd Al-Wahdi from Gaza. And in a fifth day of heavy fighting, Lebanese troops shelled positions held by Syrian fighters in the mountains around the Lebanese border town of Arsal. The attacks came a day after clashes between the army and the militants intensified and after a negotiated truce meant to end days of fighting and allow negotiations for the release of captive Lebanese soldiers collapsed. According to the Lebanese National News Agency, clashes broke out again after the Syrian militants opened fire on the Lebanese troops this morning and then spread through several fronts across the town. The attacks in Arsal, which began on Saturday, are the most serious spillover of violence from the civil war in Syria into neighboring Lebanon, spreading fears that Lebanon could become a new front in Syria's conflict. In Egypt, 5 policemen were killed during a shootout with assailants in the northwest of the country. According to a statement by the Interior Ministry, the attack took place overnight in the Dab'a area and the coastal province of Matruh. The ministry said that 2 gunmen were also killed in the clash, while the others were able to flee. Egypt has seen a rise in militant attacks since the ouster last July of its former president, Mohamed Morsi, and a crackdown on his supporters. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki today called on the international community to act to quell the violence perpetrated by terrorist militants who have taken over parts of the country. Speaking in his weekly address to the nation, al-Maliki stressed that the Arab and Islamic countries in the region should adopt a range of measures against the militants before it is too late. The premier also accused Israel of inciting violence in his country and in Syria, saying that Israel wants to destabilize the region. The director of the UN humanitarian operations, John Ging, warned the Security Council that the humanitarian situation in eastern Ukraine was steadily worsening. As power and water supplies become scarce, homes are destroyed, and health workers are fleeing the area. At an emergency meeting in New York, Ging said that violence, especially in urban areas, will put more people at risk if a political solution cannot be reached. The remarks came as airstrikes and artillery fire between pro-Russian separatists and Ukrainian troops in the city of Donetsk have brought the violence closer than ever to the city center as Kiev forces move in on the rebel stronghold. Meanwhile, NATO said earlier today that Russia has amassed around 20,000 combat-ready troops on Ukraine's eastern border and could use the pretext of a humanitarian or peacekeeping mission to invade. Russian President Vladimir Putin called the recent sanctions imposed by the United States and the European Union in response to Russia's alleged support of separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine unacceptable, while rejecting the pressure being put on Moscow's economy. The US and the EU have accused Russia, which annexed Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula in March, of fomenting tensions in eastern Ukraine by supplying arms and expertise to a pro-Moscow insurgency, and have imposed asset freezes and local bans on around 20 individuals and companies. However, in response, Putin said that his government had already proposed some retaliatory measures in order to protect the interests of local producers, though he did not provide any details. The death toll in southern China's earthquake rose to 589 today as search and rescue teams pushed into isolated mountain communities to clear debris from collapsed homes. The jump in the death toll from 410 was due to rescuers arriving in places where they were previously unable to contact anyone. Thousands of troops and hundreds of volunteers rushed to Ludian to dig out possible survivors from the debris, but landslides and bouts of heavy rain have complicated rescue efforts. The Yunnan provincial government said more than 2,400 people were injured in Sunday's 6.1 magnitude quake. And finally, moving on to local business news. The 3 main indices of the Kuwait Stock Exchange, KSE, ended mixed today. The price index gained 5 points and settled at 7,172 points. However, the KSX 15 index lost a little over a point to close at 1,189 points, and the weighted index shed half a point to close at 484.37 points. Today's trading session saw 123,409,000 shares changing hands, through 3,524 transactions worth about 14.8 million Kuwaiti dinars. For a chance to see our reports once again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. That's all the news for this evening. And before we go, here's another look at tonight's headlines. A very good night. His Highness the Emir receives the Speaker of Mongolia's Great Khural or Parliament and his accompanying delegation. Indirect talks begin in Cairo between Israel and the Palestinians as a ceasefire enters a second day. Fighting erupts in the Lebanese border town of Arsal after a negotiated truce collapses overnight. And the UN warns that civilians in the eastern Ukraine face increasing danger as the conflict with Russia persists.